Hey everyone, this is Peta from Peta's Pit Talk, and it is Friday night, a very, very cold Friday night here in Brisbane, and some people are out there in the cold and they can stay out there, but we are nice and warm, and as promised we are going to be talking to Steve and Deb Price tonight, as well as Troy, who is here also. So I'm going to turn this around and we are going to get chatting. You can leave the door. They need hello.
Hello.
How are you?
Pretty good.
Look at this, off season and having a much overdue chat to the current Australian one, AMCA driver. Has it sunk in still?
It's sunk in, but it's still a bit surreal.
I'm actually, like I've said to you, I'm really surprised that there has not been anything said about what you achieved. Like, it just blows my mind.
No, we're just who we are.
I know, but like, mate, you went out there in one season and you won your first Australian title at 60 years of age. Well,
55.
Sorry,
Come
50.
on.
Well, Matt said you were close to
Jesus.
60. Okay, 55. Heard it here first. We'll blame Matt.
Potsy said something nice, Steve Potts.
Oh, what did
Yeah.
Potsy say?
He said at the presentation,
Yeah.
he praised Stephen and said how good it was and everything, and because Stephen wasn't there,
Yep.
so he said some really nice words. But other than that, no.
Well, that's a big part of why I wanted to come and chat to you guys, because I think it's a remarkable achievement. And if anyone follows Pricey Motorsports on Facebook, you guys did a really good summary of your season, and that included multiple feature and podium places, second in the Queensland title, and then first in the Australian title. And like, you can't ask really for a better season than that, can you?
That was a pretty cool season.
Yeah.
Especially with a 13-year-old chassis that we bought a few years ago for what, $7,000?
Yep.
Wow.
And just over the last few years we've upgraded when we can afford it,
Yeah.
because we do have sponsors on the car, but nobody gives us any money.
Yeah, it's like product or in kind or stuff
but
like that, yeah.
the sponsors on our cars save us money,
Yeah.
so which is very much appreciated with everybody that has done anything, even from the bomber days to modified sedans to AMCA now. Anybody who's ever helped me to get to this point today,
Yeah.
I'm much appreciated for.
There's lots of family.
Yeah.
Lots of family members have done their fair
Family,
share.
friends, like,
It's not easy, is it? Like, you know, and to go out and, like you said, you know, you probably were running one of the oldest cars at the title. You know, you're not a 20-year-old, you know, superstar. You know, you have just done the hard yards, and you are the epitome of family motorsport.
Yeah, yeah.
and that's right across the board in any grade in Speedway. Like, I'm a chief steward as well, so I see what people go through, get their cars to the racetrack and battle on the racetrack, and then they do it all again the week after.
Yeah.
You know, like, there's plenty of times where we put bills aside just to go racing, and then caught up with the bills the week after, you know, like.
Yeah.
And that's right across the board in Speedway. That's the Speedway family.
I think that is, isn't it? Like, under that top echelon, you know, because in each class you've got, like we've discussed, you know, you've got that top level of, you know, everything's new, everything's, you know, the most horsepower, the most, you know, we've got guys all through divisions coming in with transporters that you only ever see with sprint cars, and it's really easy to overlook that family budget, you know, turning up in open wheel trailer, like an open trailer, you know, mum, dad, the kids. Like,
Yeah.
Well,
That's
that's pretty much us. Like, ours was an open trailer, but we closed it in ourselves through my work at City Steel. Like,
yeah.
took it into work one weekend and we extended it and closed it in. And
Nice. We got a couple of trailers you can do that too. 1-800 Pricey.
Yeah, exactly.
so,
Exactly.
and
But
it's not the Taj Mahal, but
Does the
And
job.
we go away and got a couple of fold-up beds, fold up the side, and me and Deb just sleep in the trailer. And
Yep. Oh, now you got the bus. We
Bit of
now
luxury now.
got the luxury in the bus now. It's very nice. I love the bus, and we're getting a bus, so we'll be travelling around. We
Yes.
just have to make sure I don't have to get Matt back into an AMCA, so we're at the same race meetings. God help me.
I'll probably still end up sleeping in the trailer because, like,
Oh.
anybody who knows me knows I like a drink after a race,
Yes.
and till
And look,
3, 4 in the
Chevy's
morning.
important too. Like Chevy can't
Exactly.
get cold.
She can't get
No,
cold.
so
Oh,
we're here.
No,
We're
Chevy
here for you,
can't.
Chevy.
Chevy will be with me in the trailer.
Daddy's little girl.
Daddy's
So
girl.
more space for you then.
Exactly right. I'll have the dog bed all to myself.
Yeah.
I love it, mate.
And I'll come and
So,
crash, and
you
we can
come
just
sit with me.
we can sleep the boys.
That's
Yeah,
right.
perfect.
That's exactly
Got it
right.
sorted.
Yeah.
So a lot of people, don't know. They hear your name, and just take every weekend at Archerfield. They hear Steve Price. No one ever knows what goes on behind the helmet, and what it takes to actually get there every week and put on a show. And you've touched base on, you started out in Bombers.
Yep.
So we were just having a chat talk us about what we were saying about the Friday night racing Bombers, and then so
It was pretty cool.
It was pretty
Back in the bomber days.
in the Bill Good days.
Yeah, and with Bill.
Yeah, goody.
Like, I actually, my family has been in Speedway. I was 2 days old and I was at a Speedway track.
Uh-huh.
So I'm etched into.
And what did they
Speedway.
race?
My dad was racing.
This is Chevy, by the way, everyone. Hi, Chevy. Mwah.
This is my baby girl.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Yes, oh, the daddy.
Dad used to race saloon cars back in the day against Al Butcher and all the big names
Yep.
and
Yep.
Cole Hitchcock and all those sort of blokes. And so when I got older, like teenage years, I played pretty competitive hockey.
Right, yep. Field hockey.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
And represented Brisbane and Queensland. Was on the verge of going to the Olympics,
Wow.
and then that was when I was 17, turning 18, and I found pubs and women.
Oh, it's an amateur strip night at Rogues.
No, not.
Oh, sorry,
not
that
for
is a
me.
bit early.
Not for me, not for me. But that was, we used to go up to Currabee then.
Oh, yes, yes.
And that's where I met Deb. That's where I met Deb.
Best night of your life.
Wow.
Well, it's better that you met her at the Currabee and not at the Rogues, okay?
That's right,
Because
exactly.
that's probably like...
That's exactly right. Yeah.
But we'd go
37 years later.
go from the Currabee when Currabee closed and then go down to Rogues.
Rogues, yeah.
So, but getting back to the Friday night racing, we used to go and race Bombers on the Friday night because Bombers were that big here in Brisbane back in the day.
Yeah.
Bill Good used to run the Bombers on the Friday night,
Yeah.
like a full race program,
Yeah.
and then all the registered classes on the Saturday night, like your
Okay.
sprint cars,
Yeah,
and
midgets and all that, yep.
and modified sedans and
Yep.
V8 dirt mods, all that sort of stuff. So that freed us up for Saturday. So we'd go racing Friday night, and we'd all hightail it straight from the racetrack to Rogues
Yes.
with our race cars and trailers.
Downtown Underwood.
We'd get changed, and we'd go into the nightclub until sun up because it used to close at 5 in
Yes.
the morning.
Yeah.
And then we'd go home, have a couple of hours sleep. Then we hightailed up to Yandina and race at Yandina on the Saturday night.
See, that's commitment, isn't
Oh,
it?
yeah.
Like, that's
It
just,
was everywhere. It was
Oh.
everywhere.
But that was just
that's what you did.
fun days.
Yeah.
It was just cool. And we didn't race for any money. It was just
Yeah.
a plastic trophy.
Yeah.
Like, pretty much as like we do with AMCAs now.
Now,
But still,
it's gone
like-
from a plastic to maybe like a flash $2 trophy.
But we just do it because we
Yeah.
love it. You know,
Yeah.
like, yeah.
And I think that's a big part of it too now, isn't it? Like, you've got to really search for that now. It was so much a part of why everyone raced back then, and it was, like you said, you know, you weren't racing for sheep stations. It was, you were there to race for the love of racing. And now,
we used to get into a lot of punch-ups, trust me.
No, sure, never. I couldn't imagine it.
No.
Holy do. But that was when you could sort stuff out in the pits
Yeah.
and not get a suspension.
Chili bowl rules.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Like if somebody took you out, you got in the pits and you sorted it out.
Yeah. And that's it.
And
like,
then
you're fine.
yeah,
Yeah.
you probably even had a beer with them at the end of the night.
Yeah.
You know, like they'd come up and
Yeah. Say,
apologise and
yeah,
say,
sorry, and off
yeah.
you go again.
But in the heat of the battle, back in the days, especially when we were younger,
Yeah.
full of testosterone and what have you, and just, yeah, you take me out, mate, I'm going to take you out. So, yeah.
And with bombers, how long did you run bombers? And then you said you went to modified.
I started racing by accident, actually, because like I say, I was playing hockey and
Yep.
then I was playing A-grade rugby league
Yep.
for Logan City.
About 19.
And it was 1988. I went out to Archerfield and I was just watching my dad and my brother. My brother got into a fight and Bill Good banned him for the night.
Oh.
So he's come running up to me, he says, do you want to hop in my car and drive it in the feature race? I went, yeah, okay.
Okay.
So this is only my second ever go on a race. I'll tell you about the first time shortly. So I hopped in his car and I started rear. There were like 25 cars in the race and I got second.
Wow.
Never hopped in his car before and it was a pretty good little Cortina.
Yeah.
And that sort of got the urge going, and a couple of weeks later, I come home from work and Deb had bought me a Charger race car.
Gosh, you're a good woman.
So that was my first race car that I bought, that I owned, and Deb bought it.
Dev's team owner ever since.
Yeah, pretty much. So,
Exactly.
but my first ever race was, my dad had a HR Holden station wagon
Yep.
bomber, and he was in Darwin.
Wow.
So me and my brother decided we were going to take his car out and race it. So we got on to...
Come back, don't be long. No, we've still got more to Deb's going, but coming back.
Yes.
You add to these stories.
We got on to
Sweet.
a tilt tray
Yep.
and it's $40.
Yeah.
So he come and took us out to the racetrack, and after the race meeting, like we crashed the car.
Yeah. Okay, of course.
So,
yeah.
and after the race meeting, we're sitting there waiting for this tilt tray. And we ring him up and he goes, no, that was only $40 one way.
Oh.
So we thought, oh, Jesus. So we drove it home. From Archerfield to Wardridge, past three police stations.
Oh, Jesus.
So, and Dad rang up the next day because Mum told him that we took his car to the track and it's not the same way he left. And he got on the phone and he told us that we better have that race car looking exactly the way it was before when he left.
Did you succeed?
We did.
Oh,
We
good.
did. Yes. Yeah.
And your brother, did he race as well? Sort of
Yeah, yeah.
still race?
Still racing, yeah.
Okay, so what, did he race AMCAs or?
No, he races Service Paradise sedans.
Okay, yeah.
My dad still races.
Wow.
78 years old and still races.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so I think if you take racing away from him, he would be passed away. It's just,
Yeah, you got to,
It's-
yeah.
That's his passion, and he's passed that down to all of us.
So from AMCA to modify, from bombers to modified to AMCAs, what was why the transition from modified and then to AMCAs?
Well, I sort of fell into AMCAs actually, but when I went from bombers to modified, I thought that was just the next step you did.
Yeah.
And then when I got into modifieds, and going to all the country tracks like Gympie and Bundaberg, Maryborough,
Yeah.
Kingaroy, I found out there were like other grades that I could have went to
Okay.
with the car that I had in Bombers,
Oh, okay. Yep.
like Super Street
Yep.
and stuff
Street
like
stock
that.
and stuff like that, yeah.
So modified was such a hard learning curve
Yeah.
because Big Neil Thompson said to me when I first went modified, he came up to me, he goes, Steve, you're going from the king of the shit to the shit of the kings now,
Yep.
and not a truer word was spoken,
Wow.
because I got my backside handed to me big time. Just because I didn't have the equipment. I was always confident in my ability to drive with them,
yeah.
but I just didn't have the equipment that these blokes had, like the Greg Raymonts and
Yeah.
Barons and Neil Thompson and Steve Jordan and all those sort of blokes,
Yeah.
you know, like, and it was a big eye opener.
Wow.
But we stuck with it
Yep.
and spent the money where we could. Got a little bit competitive, and then the Blackburn car was just sitting there, and I went and had a chat with Jeff and Norell, and I started driving their car, and the success
Wow.
started to come because I had the car underneath me.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
and like I say, I'm much appreciated to everybody who's helped me, and the Blackburns were a massive part of my success in modifieds.
Yeah. So then what made you go from modified to AMCA?
Well, 2009-10, I broke 2 vertebrae in my back down in Tasmania,
Yep.
and I couldn't get a clearance to race until my back was fine. It took like 5 years, so I decided to become a chief steward
Yep.
or a steward,
Yep.
and I've just progressed to be a chief steward,
Yep.
and just to put back something into the sport.
Again, 1-800 Pricey if you're looking for a chief steward.
I get that many calls to
I can
go and
imagine.
steward to
Yeah.
different racetracks around Australia. So, and it's not something that I like doing, but I do like doing, if you know what
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah.
You know, like I don't like stewarding in a way because what I say at driver's brief and I carry it through.
Yep.
And anybody who's raced underneath me knows that.
Yep.
And even my best friends, I've black flagged and put on the infield because they've done something
Yep.
on the racetrack.
Yeah.
And probably even more so with my friends, I was probably harder when I first started with them,
Yeah.
just to prove a point.
And that you weren't
that
trying,
I
yeah, that
wasn't
they weren't favourite, yeah, weren't showing
being
you favouritism.
favourites.
Yeah.
So we had a few discussions after over a couple of beers with a few of my mates over some decisions that I made, but
Yeah.
they were the calls that I had to make
Yeah.
to prove that I was
Worthy of that position, I guess. Yeah.
not so much worthy of it, that I wasn't biased,
Yeah.
you
okay.
know. And it doesn't matter who you are, if
The
you do
rules are the
something
rules.
wrong
Yeah.
and I see it, you're going to get penalised for
Yeah.
it. So, and I think I've got some great respect, especially in the modified sedans. 'Cause I love doing the modifieds and super sedans.
I need to ask a quick question, and I've been trying to find someone who can tell me. What is the difference between modified and modified production? Like, are
Well,
there 2 different classes?
No.
No.
They used to be called modified production.
Yes.
Now they're called modified sedans.
Right.
It's still the same,
Same
class.
thing. Okay. Right. All right.
so-
Because I thought
They went
there
through a
was 2.
name change about 5-6 years ago.
Okay. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
So yeah. So 5 years. Did your stewarding, and
yeah,
then
and then I ran into a bloke down the street actually, and it was the car that Jason Drever was driving,
Mm-hmm.
and Jason decided that he didn't want to race for the bloke anymore, blah, blah, blah. And he offered me the drive of the AMCA.
Yep.
And I just said, I'll, if I can get a licence, I'd love to.
Yep.
So I passed my medical and
Wow.
I started in the AMCA. So, and we went out there. My first race meeting was pretty funny because Steve Potts sort of knew who I was.
Yep.
But Sam had no idea on who I was. And I remember to this day, and Sam, if you're listening to this, you'll probably remember it. She came up to me and she said, now, it's your first night, you've got to start rear. I said, yeah, I understand that.
Yep.
She said, now, when the fast cars come to you, just hold your line and you won't get into trouble. Just try not to race the faster cars.
Yep.
Well, I started rear all night and I got second in the feature race.
Of course you did.
And I went through, two cars sort of spread up the back straight and I went straight through the middle of it. And Sam came down and she got up at me because I went through the middle of two cars up the back straight. She thought I was too aggressive. Like, we didn't hit or touch or anything like that.
Oh, wow.
And to me, that was just racing.
Yeah.
But I've always had a little bit of a chuckle about that. So,
And
sorry, Sam.
Sorry. In terms of, you know, cars, and obviously you've stuck with the AMCA for a long time now.
Yeah.
How long have you been driving AMCA?
5 years.
So
6 years.
how
sorry,
does
6
it
years.
how does it compare to the modified in terms of as a driver?
Oh, they're chalk and cheese.
Yeah.
But the same, if you understand what I'm saying. Like,
Yep.
it's lap times between a modified sedan, like the top class modifieds in Australia and the top class AMCAs in Australia, AMCAs are quicker.
Yeah.
But there's a split hair between them. You know, like we're doing 15 sixes,
Yep.
best lap times, and they're doing like 15 sevens.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
there's absolutely nothing between them. But driving them, a modified sedan is so much cooler
Really?
to race.
Yeah.
AMCAs, we don't like rubbing panels, and
Yeah.
it happens.
Yeah.
But we don't like doing it.
Yeah.
Modified sedans, that's what it's about.
Yeah. Robin's
And-
racing.
And that's not to say you get in there and you bang people out
Yeah.
the way.
Yeah.
It's just you get your guards in there and you
Yeah.
rub them
Yeah.
and you let them know you're there.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like, and it's just hard, fast racing. And it's the best racing in Australia.
Yeah.
By none. Better
Yeah.
than sprint car racing, better than
Yeah.
anything else. A top class field of modified sedans, and you've only got to see what Kingaroy do with the King's Royal.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that town that weekend is absolutely packed
Yeah.
to go and see modified sedans.
Yeah. But that's old school too, isn't it? Like that kind of goes back to that because you can still sit on the hill and see that it's a Commodore or a Ford, or you know, it's almost even that back to that old school touring car days. You know,
100%,
where you
yes.
can see that the
Yeah.
car you're driving on the street is the car that's on the racetrack.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, maybe I can go. Whereas when you've got AMCAs or wingless or stuff, they're unique. They're very much
Oh, yeah, yeah.
set to that.
And AMCAs have evolved so much in the 5-6 years that I've started.
Yeah.
Like we've gone from the 253s
Yes.
to the 350 Chevs
Yeah.
now. We've got quick change diffs. Just the suspension, mounting points, and everything. We've got pull bars and
Yeah.
as you've seen tonight, I've got a brand new chassis sitting in the shed being built
Yep.
now. This will be the first ever brand new car that I've ever owned.
Thanks, Deb. Yes, she's sitting behind us going.
And I
yes.
do have to thank Deb because without her support, this
Yeah.
just wouldn't happen.
Yeah, and you've got another supporter over here, Troy.
Come on, your turn.
Your turn. So anyone who knows, you know, Steve and Deb or, you know, Troy know that it's family first.
Yep.
And family racing is what it's about. And even Tamara over here, you've become very quiet there, babe.
She's hungover.
She's told to be quiet. Hang on, I'm just trying to get this better so I can get both of you. There we go. So, yeah, very much about family first, isn't it? And, you know, you either do it together or you don't do it at all.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
So, you know, we were just chatting about your AMCAs. So you both basically sold your cars.
Yep.
And at one point you had nothing.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
Gosh.
yeah. So,
Did you kind of wake up going, what am I going to do now?
Oh, I knew I was getting another car.
Yes.
Not an M car.
Yes.
Tamara didn't like me selling the M car
Yeah.
because it was her baby.
Yeah.
But to me, a race car's a race car.
Yeah.
It's, if you get another one, it's just a race car.
So are we allowed to say where you're heading?
I'm buying an
Exclusively?
I'm buying an XF.
There we go. All right. Well, yeah, you heard it here
Yeah.
first. So Troy's not getting out of the game altogether.
Nope.
And we've got a brand new, very pretty blue chassis sitting out in the shed for Dad.
and Troy will hop in that and drive that.
Yep. Do they clash? Like, you know, if AMCAs, do you generally race together in the two different classes? Like, have you looked at that as to see how, if they're sort of
Not
compatible?
quite yet.
Only if
No.
Archfields
Yeah.
still goes ahead,
Okay.
Yeah.
Otherwise, probably not.
which
yeah.
we're all
Yeah.
sort of fingers crossed and hope
Yeah,
it does. But
yeah.
we all sort of know in our hearts that that's probably
Yeah.
not going to happen, but
Yeah. Talking
Which is-
about Archerfield.
which is a shame.
It is. It's, you know, like we've spoken. You know, you've been on this since you're a baby.
Yeah.
You know, what would be, if I was to say, what's your most favourite memory of Archerfield?
Oh,
You too.
Wow. My memory would be driving the old boy's car for the very first time.
The AMCA
No,
or
it
modified?
would be the improved production.
Oh, okay. Right. Yeah.
You can drive that car one-handed.
Okay.
It was
Wow.
that good setup. And that was my first ever drive.
Wow. Okay.
That was my memory.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
You know, it's been funny when ever since all this discussion, like we all know Archerfield's been going for 15 years or what have you, but one of the things that I noticed reading a lot of the social media, you know, when it all got put out there and then it was on the news, was that everyone's sort of got all the negative things, like it's all, everything's negative. And I thought, well, you know what? Like, how about we turn that around and talk about, holy shit, you've given us 44 years of racing,
Yeah.
10 minutes up the road.
Yeah.
You know, there's some pretty amazing memories.
The owners of it aren't getting any younger. So,
No.
And then they've got to think of their future as well.
And yeah, and that's it. You can't take any of that away. But you know, I really want to think, wow, let's you know,
I've just
share the memories.
every time at Archfield is
A good time.
a good time. So like, it's,
Yeah.
It's a good track.
to try to single out one
Yeah. It's
race
a lot of
meeting,
things.
yeah, I don't know.
But I hope drivers like yourself don't let that just go away either. Like, you know, those memories and those times, you know, someone like Tony Loxley will end up doing a book.
Yeah.
And it is, I think it's important to reach out across all the divisions and get your experiences and the moments, you know.
Like I say, like talking about Yandina before,
Yeah.
like, that closed down, I don't know, like 10 or 15 years
Yeah,
ago or
and
whatever.
nothing.
But I've got a lot of great memories
Yeah.
with that racetrack.
Yeah.
You know, like I say, we used to race Archfield Friday night and
Yep.
Yandina on the Saturday night, so
Yep.
they sort of went hand in hand with each other for us.
Yeah. Yeah.
But and like I've been a Sunshine Coast member for over 30 years.
Wow.
So and to this day I'm still a Sunshine Coast club member.
Yeah. Oh, well, you know, there is these rumours that Speedway Australia's bought acreage on the north side of Brisbane and building a track up there. So, you know,
Until it's built, I won't.
that's it. And
Yeah.
all we can do is hope that they realise how important it is to have a track. And Kathy and John have led that drive. You know, they were involved in a consortium many years ago trying to get something happening. And I think, you know, going public about this is the end, you know, even as Kathy said and John in one of those interviews, you know, then it needs the push now that the same happen in Parramatta. You know,
Yeah.
the government have to step in because our industry, our motorsport industry is worth so much money, you know,
100%.
and to not have a capital city racetrack is,
Yeah.
you know, it's not a good place to think, you know, that there could potentially not be another one. So
Yeah, we'll see where, if there is no more Archfield, we're sort of in the same boat as South Australia. You know,
yes,
There's no
yeah.
no speedway in Adelaide anymore.
No.
Like Speedway City closed down, and
Yeah.
you've got to go to Murray Bridge and places like that to go and race.
But you kind of look at that and think, you know, okay, that Speedway hasn't happened and, you know, we're losing Archerfield. But our numbers are growing every year. And this is something that everyone sort of seems to forget. We are the only area, and I say area, Southeast Queensland, that we did not stop racing through COVID.
No, that's right.
We were the only ones that kept racing. John and Kathy did a brilliant job keeping us on track. You know, it goes. That's a hell of a lot of people and a hell of a lot of money that then doesn't stay in the
that's
area,
right.
you know?
And other states, especially in AMCA grade, other states are suffering because of the COVID.
Yeah, we've grown.
We were lucky because we could keep racing.
Yeah,
But those who had cars and didn't get to race it
yeah,
have probably found other things to do now, and they're thinking, oh,
do I want to go back?
yeah.
Yeah,
And now, especially over the last 12 months, like in Victoria, they're struggling to get cars.
yeah.
Sure.
And that's really sad, isn't it? Because if you look back 3 or 4 years, you know, Speedway Australia have said, you know, Queensland, our numbers are skyrocketing. New South Wales has been on hiatus for 2 years, unless you go and run at Dubbo or Lismore or, you know, Grafton. And Victoria's been non-existent. And that's a bit heartbreaking, I think, because one, the amount of cars that are in sheds would astound us. But somehow we've got to get that encouragement to these guys to come back, because Speedway, it's not just about you as a racer. It's and Ryan Harris said it the other day. You guys are there to put on a show, and you are in the business of putting on an entertainment, a night of entertainment for the family.
That's right.
And you know, at $30 an adult for 7 hours of racing, hard, fast, great racing, you can't beat that.
Well, we work all weekend during the week
Yeah,
to work on your car to race 4 hours.
yeah.
And we love that. It's what we do.
And then, you know, obviously when they come, you know, the kids
Well, when
come
you break
down.
it down, you don't actually race 4 hours.
No, probably not.
No,
No.
we're there
No,
for
like-
4
But you're
hours.
there
Yeah.
for 4 hours, yeah.
Yeah.
But then, you know, the most incredible part, I think, too, is that when those kids and those families come down at the end of the night,
Yeah.
and you know, they look at you and they're like,
They
you
hop
are
in-
living their
Hop in the
dream.
car and
Yeah,
get
it's
photos
like
taken. Yeah,
you are living their dream,
yeah, love it. Yeah,
and that's important, isn't it?
And Lismore's good with that. They do the half-time walk, and it's good. The kids light up. And then they go back and they watch it through the fence, and
get
that's
your
what they want to
stickers
be.
and all that sort of stuff.
And collect tear-offs, you know, walking the track at the end of the night, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's what they,
Same as we all did as
yeah.
kids.
And you know what? We're all okay.
Yeah.
And I always said to Lewis, like, he'll never be able to race, but he's, you know, gone down the crewing path. And, you know, I said, mate, even if you scrape mud every race meeting on any car, you are doing something that every kid on the hill would give their left and right arms to do.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, just to grab the clay and, you know, be a part of it, or come and say, hi, I saw you.
Yeah.
You know, that's
Where it all starts from.
100%.
Yeah.
And that's a big part of me doing my Pit Talk stuff, is that, you know, there's not just the avenue of you going in as a driver.
Yeah.
You know, money's tough, sponsors are tough, you know, it's getting harder and harder. The sponsors that are out there, they're very spread thin over a lot of classes, and to try and get a good sponsor, it's a hard task.
Yeah.
And you know, you've had Pro One come on board, which is pretty exciting.
Yes.
And Who else have you got coming on board for this season? I love this. Look at Peter's put him in the hot seat. Other than main sponsor Deb Price, but other than that,
Okay, Peter's Pit Top
yeah,
exclusive right here.
Woo! Let's go.
We have acquired the services of the Thomas family temporary fence hire
Oh, fantastic.
to come on board with us for this year.
Yep.
And I've been great mates and friends with the Thomas family for well over 30 years.
Yep.
And everything's just sort of aligned at the right time, and Brett's
Perfect.
come on board, and Owen,
Yep.
and I'm very much appreciative of what they're doing for us. So
There
bigger
you
things
go.
to come.
That's amazing. And, you know, you deserve it, mate. Like, you know, what you've achieved, like we said, you know, for this last 12 months and to have, from my point of view, I could not believe when Maddie said, well, no one's sort of said anything about you winning an Australian title. No one's, and I mean, that just blew me away. You know, like what you have achieved and what you do as a family and your history in Speedway. You're not just someone that gets there and puts their helmet on. You know, like that's amazing. So you
Yeah.
deserve that, and you know, deserve Pro 1, and the car looks amazing, and you know, you're going to get out there and have an absolute ball of a time.
I can't wait for it to hit the racetrack, because it is coming up a treat. It's
Yep.
just phenomenal on the work that Kempy did with the chassis. We
Yep, looks
worked
amazing.
together and did a few things that I wanted,
Yep.
and it's just come up an absolute treat. And then to have Pro 1 come on board, save me a lot of money with parts and stuff like that. So thanks to Kent and
Yep.
Frank and the boys.
Tell you what, they've really stepped up their game in the last sort of 4 to 5 years, haven't they?
Oh,
you know,
100%.
especially, I didn't know much about them, obviously, when, you know, a few years ago, but every regional track we'd go to, they were there with their little van and a table, and it was like, you know, yes, I know QSS does it, you know, at Archerfield, but they were at every regional track. And
right, yeah.
if you needed something and they didn't have their van there, they would make sure that Dan Mose or someone else would
Somebody
get it
would
there for
get it,
you.
yeah.
And I've got a lot of respect for them and what they're giving back to the sport.
Yeah, and not only that they sponsor a lot of race meetings too. Like, and I'm talking like 5,000 to win shows, you know. So
It's amazing.
They're putting a lot of money into
Yeah.
classes and sedan classes, which is what they're primarily about.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah.
And but they still hold a lot of stuff for AMCAs, and they're building their AMCA range.
Dan is driving the sprint car now,
Sprint
you know, so he
cars,
went from wingless. Yep.
You
Yep.
know, like they're building the range on all forms of motorsport. So good luck to you boys, and
Yeah,
let's
and that's
hope I can help
awesome
yous.
because even I was told the other day that Rocket are shutting down their Speedway division. So, you know, realistically, there's not a lot, you know, that's QSS, there's the little guys, but Pro 1, QSS, you know, yes, that's where we go and spend our money. Yes, that's,
Botches.
you know, botches we give to them, but holy crap, botches putting up 10 grand to win, you know, like in Toowoomba. I mean, we're getting to be on the map for these big shows. It's all right. Don't break it on me. So, okay, so season starts. Your season will be early October or late September. Is that pretty much where you're at?
Yes.
Obviously, depending on Archerfield. So,
Hoping to get it out to up to Toowoomba and
practice that Friday night. Yeah,
Yeah.
same. Yeah.
So, and then we'll go and do, I think we've got a 2-night show at Grafton on the 1st and 2nd of October.
Yeah. I really want to go down to Grafton this year because I haven't been to the
Yeah.
Speedway there. It's
good
a
track.
ski race there, but not.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we will come and follow your journey and might come and follow the Ford journey over there in the corner.
Ain't nothing wrong with the
Yeah,
Ford.
shh. No. But, okay, so, you know, obviously you had no expectations last season and you went out there and kicked every possible goal you could imagine.
Oh, and then some.
And then this season, surely it's just going to be about going out there and having fun and just whatever
That's what
comes. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's how we were approached last season as well. Like
Yeah.
the season before, we had a shocking year. We were chasing a miss for 3/4 of the year.
Yeah.
Good mate Darren Lester came on board and fixed that for me.
Yeah.
And we still won races and stuff like that, but always had this miss, and it was doing my
Gee,
head
they
in,
just,
and
it isn't it like
to the
one
point-
little thing.
to the point where I just wanted to give it away. I
Yeah.
wanted to just
Yeah.
give it away and just
Yeah.
help Troy.
Yeah.
And then once we fixed the problem, which just turned out to be an ignition switch. After spending thousands of dollars of changing
Hours,
this,
yeah.
that and everything else, it turned out
Yeah.
to be a bloody ignition switch.
And it's usually that way, isn't it? The
Yeah,
smallest
so-
component. Yeah.
Yeah, so, but yeah, Darren Lester found that for me and fixed that, and then in the off season last season we upgraded to the new front end, and then halfway through the year, not too far into the season, we had Graham Sheree Holland come on board, G Maintenance. They give us some front shocks and just sort of transfer on the race car.
Wow.
And once I had those shocks in the car, it was just, look out, we're
Yeah.
coming, because the front end grip in the car was just phenomenal compared to what I had.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And we buy new shocks, but they're just straight off the shelf.
Yeah.
It's just,
And they're so hard to get your head around, like the correlations of,
I have no idea where
yeah.
people talk.
yeah, and you coil
Rebound
overs and
bloody
rebound
this, that,
compression,
and
yeah,
everything,
yeah.
You know, like, does my head in. I just put a shock in. It
Old
works
school.
great.
Yeah, good, go.
So it's holding the car up and it's
Yep.
working. So yeah,
But isn't it funny when you get to that next sort of level, and it's ultimately such a small thing, but it has such a huge impact on how the car handles and what you are achieving out there on the track.
well, we had by Australian title. We had the car going around the track that nice. We got down for practice at Mildura, and I waited until the racetrack had gone away, was really
Yep.
black and slick. We went out in practice 15
Yep.
and went round. The racetrack was just slick as. Went round and I sat on the dummy grid and I waited for Dean Hasseltine and Plugger McCarthy to go out, and I followed them out because it's their local track. And
Yeah. How better to learn is to follow, what they're doing, in terms
well,
of watch what they're
Plugger
doing.
preps the track.
Yes.
And Dean Hasseltine had won the feature race a couple of weeks before,
yeah.
so
Yeah.
I thought I'll follow them around. They were actually holding me up and I passed them in
Wow.
practice.
Wow.
The car just
in practice, it was setting up for the feature already.
Yeah.
the
yeah.
car just felt that nice, and I came back in and hopped out of my race gear and
That was it.
grabbed a beer and went up and watched the rest of the practice. And Deb said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm happy with the car."
Yeah. Wow. That's a great feeling.
And we were 12th quickest.
Yeah.
But from practice 8
Yeah.
onwards, we were the quickest
Okay.
in times.
Yeah.
All the other 11 quick times before us were all done in the first 7 practices.
Okay. Yeah.
So, yeah, but once the racetrack went slick, we were the quickest car.
Wow.
So we weren't too worried. I was super happy with the car. And we went out there for the first night, won the first heat, won the second heat, won the third heat.
Just kept going.
Then we had a prelim A main, we won that, and we broke the track record in that race.
Really. Wow.
So you can imagine and we did not touch the race car.
Wow.
Not at all, not one spanner on it, nothing.
Wow.
Just
Jesus.
From-
Just that night. It was just
from-
that weekend. It was just meant to be.
From
Yeah.
practice to the feature race, the
Yeah.
A main Australian title, we did not touch the car. And
Wow.
Troy flew in because it was my birthday the same day
Really?
as the Australian
Oh
time.
my gosh! Wow.
And Troy surprised us and flew in. I'm standing in the trailer and I turn around and he's at the back of the trailer and straight away
We're emotional.
I thought, we're good here.
Yeah.
We are good here.
Yeah. Wow.
Because he keeps me calm
Yeah.
and stops me from doing anything stupid with a race car.
You need someone to do that, the outside view behind the fence,
Yep.
because he knows what's going on in the car,
Yep.
and I can tell him, all right, the car's doing this on the outside, and we come together and it just works.
We
Yeah.
just work really good.
And that's remarkable to have that relationship and be able to have that bond.
Yeah.
You know.
He has the final say,
Yep.
but I tell him what, especially if other cars behind him are doing,
Yep.
and then we work on that. So.
Wow.
Yeah, and then we only made 2 changes for the final. We changed the diff gears, we put a spacer on the right front.
Wow.
Oh, and a couple of turns in the left rear. And that was the total adjustments we made to the race car the whole weekend.
Jeez.
And
Pretty much sure that everyone around you would be frantically trying to make changes or find
Oh,
that
there
little
were-
bit, you know,
Changing
just, yeah.
shocks, and
there
especially
were,
the
there were
that
people
went out
down
first.
there, like left of us, right of us,
Yeah.
in front of us, and
Crazy trying to-
all just chasing their tails all
Yeah.
week. And usually that's sort of like,
What you do.
I don't sort of do that too much.
Yeah.
I'd very rarely touch my car at a racetrack unless the race car's really bad.
Yeah.
I pretty much don't really touch the car.
Okay.
I just watch the racetrack, come back, make a couple little minor adjustments here or there, and other than that,
Yeah.
I very rarely touch my race car.
Has that always been the case?
Not always the
No.
case, but that's sort of where we got to with that car.
With the AMCA, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I think you can
Overthink
overthink
stuff.
it.
Yeah, exactly
And
right.
even Maddie, there's sometimes with Ben's car last season, you know, I'd walk down and he'd just be like standing there and I could tell and I'm like, babe, just, it's okay. It's okay. He's like, oh no, I'm not. I'm like, it's okay.
Yeah.
Because you can get in your head and you can go from one heat to the second heat with a totally different car and you think,
Yeah. Yeah.
what's happened, and then you overthink it exactly.
Exactly. Like there's blokes out there. I won't name names. Brett Rowbotham, Graham Holland, who go out and win a heat,
Yeah.
and then come back in and pull
Change-
shocks out of
yeah.
their cars, and I just look at them and go, "What are you doing to it, boys?
Oh,
You just won the heat.
yeah. Yeah.
That means your car's on the
Go-
money.
yeah, where you need to
All
be.
you got to do is minor adjustments."
Yeah, yeah,
But
same thing.
I laugh at them and does my head in.
And you got to set it up to the driver too,
Yes.
not just the track.
And Matty always says to me, if like what he was doing with Ben, the track will come to you.
Yeah.
So if you set that car up, because you can see, like you're saying, if it's slick early, it's just going to continue that way. Or, you know, that's if we're on with all the open wheels. If we're on with all the sedan guys, you know, it's going to end up a different,
It'd be rough and hooked.
yeah. So,
right, yeah.
you know, the track, the car, you do what you need to, and you plan for the long game, not the right now
You got to
game.
set up, so a 20 lap feature, you either set up for the first 10,
Yep,
or you set up for the back 10.
Yeah.
We set up for the back 10,
yep.
and then it'll come on.
So I bet you were pretty damn happy you got on a plane that day.
I was. Early morning, but yeah, I got there.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Well,
And he pretty much didn't get any sleep because
Did not sleep though.
we won. We were up all night
of course you were.
drinking,
Yeah.
and then he had to be on a plane at 5:30
Oh, the next
I left.
the
morning.
next morning.
So I left Brisbane at 6 o'clock Saturday morning.
Yeah.
I went to Speedway, stayed up all night drinking piss, got back on the plane, and I didn't get back to Brisbane until Sunday 6 o'clock. No sleep, no nothing.
Oh, yeah, but that's okay. Because not like
Oh,
every day you win an Australian title, right? You can sleep when you're dead.
And it was so good having Troy down there to achieve it.
Yeah.
You know, like
It was a family win, wasn't it? Like,
Oh.
if anything more than it's such a culmination of your
Yeah.
entire career and your family and,
Yeah.
you know, what you guys do together. And if it was ever going to happen and mean more, that was it.
Yeah.
And it's even more family orientated because, like, my brother-in-law lives out at Arachula,
Yeah.
collects cans and does what he can for us to,
Wow.
Just a tyre or something.
Yeah.
just
Oh
to
my
buy one
gosh.
tyre. Got family in Melbourne who contributed to the car as well. Family in Lismore who contributed to the car as well. Just little bits here and there, you know, like it's.
That's the unheard of side of it, isn't it?
Yeah.
You see you know, the logos on the car and you think, oh God, you know, they must be getting plenty of sponsorship. Well, no.
Yeah.
Trust
Probably-
me, there was nothing fancy under that car.
Yeah.
That's a
Yeah.
that's a perception that a lot of people think, you know,
Very
like they see, like, we're pretty much always up the pointy end, and they think because all the names are on the race car and we're always up pointy end, we've got a lot of money and we can a lot of sponsors putting this, that, and everything else.
Yeah.
It's nowhere near the case, you know. Like I say, no sponsors give us any money.
Yeah.
They save us money.
If
And
another
other than
driver,
that,
if another driver drove the setup that the old boys got,
Yeah.
they wouldn't drive it one lap.
Yeah.
It's
But
just
that's
what he can do.
yeah, and that's you recognizing that as well, and
Yeah.
you know, that's a lifetime of a bond,
Yeah,
you know, and to be able to do it together,
and it's experience.
yeah,
yeah.
You know, like
Some of the setups he comes up with, I think, are stupid, but it works.
You've been
for him.
watching Ricky Bobby again.
I'm not on fire.
Well, I think it's awesome, and you know, when Maddie said, you know, you really should have a chat to Pricey, and that night that I came and you were in the car that last night, and I'm like, I won't walk up to someone that I don't know, as silly as that sounds. I get a bit, you know, no one will want to talk to me, like I'm no one. But Matt is
much
a
appreciated.
very big supporter of who you are,
Yeah.
and who you have always been as a driver. Obviously driven with Matt a long time,
Yeah.
and I'm so thankful that, you know, you were able to sit here tonight and
Oh,
have
thank
this
you.
chat, because yeah, I learn a lot,
Yeah,
and
just
hopefully people can see that too.
just a little insight of what sort of a family little team can achieve, I suppose.
And that's it, you know, you walk out the back and there's a shed, and there's not all the fancy schmancy stuff in it. You know, you guys have
Yeah,
got
see,
a bus.
I'm a little bit spoiled at the
actually
moment because I've got a shed. I've got a shed with where we used to live. We didn't have a shed.
Oh, okay.
It
Thanks, Troy.
was Deb's old horse stable.
Yeah.
My race car used to stay in the old horse stable.
Gosh, she's
so-
giving to you, isn't she?
Oh, she's a good old egg.
Well, I tell ya, you'd be nowhere without it. Well, guys, I'm really excited to see where this season heads. You know, you're off on another tangent that we'll see Troy, and you know, get out there and have some fun, and make sure the car's right for when we do the ladies' night in Lismore, because Tamara and,
already been
and
nominated.
yeah, that's it. Yeah, it's all been nominated. Kim, we're on that for you. And we've said you're super excited about where Lismore's heading. You know, we all are, and you know, can't wait to get down there and support Mick and Kim, and obviously Rhino with what he's doing in Toowoomba is just a whole nother level of amazing. You know, the shows that he's giving you guys, and the country tracks, and I tell you what, you wouldn't want to be in any other state.
No.
You know, racing speedway at the moment, and like a class Lismore as being in our state, because you know, why wouldn't you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
But
it's home as well. So
yeah.
No, we've got a massive season with AMCAs. Even if Archfield doesn't go ahead, we've still got a massive season. So.
And sometimes it can be tough because that is so much racing, and if you have a season like you had with the Miss, and this is what people tend to forget, you go out there and win an Australian title, but how many crap race meetings have you had where you've pulled your hair out and you've thrown it, you know, and you said, I've had fucking enough of this shit.
Like a few years ago, we were racing the Australian title in Murray Bridge, and we were leading it pretty comfortably.
Yeah.
And we punched a couple of push rods through the
3
rockers.
days,
Wow.
You know, like, and
It happens, doesn't it? It's either, and luck plays a huge part in it. I don't care what anyone says.
That sort of ate at me for a long time, though,
Yeah.
because I firmly believe nobody was going to beat us on that night because we were good.
But then you look at it and you think, okay, that didn't happen, but
No.
it did happen last year.
It has happened
And
now.
it happened exactly when it needed to have happened, you know, and that makes it all just so much more special. And whatever you do from here on in doesn't matter. You know, like it that's amazing.
Just got to get that state title of Blanchie.
Okay. You heard it here first.
And that's like what Blanchie has done the last 3 years, like 3 state titles in a row, is just phenomenal, and hats off to him. You know, he deserves it.
Yeah.
The greatest thing about AMCA racing is the blokes you race against. Like, you got Potsy and Bruce Marshall,
Yeah.
who will not give you an inch.
Yeah.
Great blokes, great to race with.
Yeah.
And you got legends like Matt Hardy, Russ Hardy, and Shane McKinnell. You know,
Been around a long time, haven't they?
icons at AMCA.
Yeah.
Without those sort of blokes, I don't believe AMCAs would have their profile they got now. And then you got the young guys like Matt Hardy's already won 2 Australian titles, and
It's amazing,
there's
isn't it?
still plenty more left in that kid. He's a superstar, and of course Blanchie, you know, like. And then you got the old heads like Shane Newstead and Liz Moore, just rough and hard, tough blokes to race against. But
That's what you want.
9 times out of 10, it's all hard, fast, clean racing.
Yeah.
You do get that one occasion where
But you get that everywhere, don't you?
exactly,
Yeah.
and if you come together with somebody, it's not on purpose. It's just
Those Gamble brothers, though, I reckon they're a bit of a pain in the ass to
You gotta
race
watch
with.
them.
You got to watch them because, like, you know, they're a bit fiery, especially the older brother. And if you get on the wrong side of him, well, I hope this season that obviously being involved with you guys and understanding a lot more now, like I want to make a point of coming and talking to more drivers, and hopefully if I can drag Buggerlugs along, he'll actually introduce me so that we can help raise the level and the do a bit like what I did with Wingless, and because you guys are a class that when you get out there, there is nothing, you know, short. The dirt mods look like you to an untrained eye, but I think there's a whole heap of promotion that can be given to your class, and I think it's a great class, and you know there is still an AMCA sitting in the shed, so he may, who knows, but I think
you could be the Ryan Harris for AMCAs.
Oh, look out!
There you
No.
go.
Yeah.
Oh God! You know what? If I could be a quarter of Rhino or Jared and Nick and the boys from Ash Media, like what they are doing is
Top quality.
it has just taken our sport to a whole nother
Just
level.
highlighted it big time.
And I mean, we were in Toowoomba and I kind of got really emotional because Jared and Nick let me go and do a behind the scenes in the truck, you know, and to see what goes on to put that coverage together. And
100%.
I was like, wow, guys, you know, no one's done that. No one, you see these guys like Rhino, Macca, you know, Stu, Wade, whoever, you know, they're out there on the microphones and they can't get to everyone. But holy crap, you know, what Ash Media are doing is raising the ball, the game big time. You know,
That big TV.
He's not
screen
raising
on
the
truck.
bar, he is the bar.
he is the bar. That's very true. Yeah.
You know,
And to
like-
go in and see behind it and see what they
Exactly.
do, and even that bloody thing that goes up and down inside the truck, it's just like, you gotta be shitting me. Like, this is awesome. And this is what's getting our sport out there,
Exactly.
you know.
You know, like, I remember the first meeting Jared ever did,
Yep.
you know.
Wow.
like, and to where he is now,
It's
It's like he
amazing.
done it on his iPhone or
He's-
something. It's good.
But you know what?
is-
This is how they started, you know.
Exactly.
And I walk around with a camera, and I felt really flash when I bought my new little microphone thing, and go up and say hey. And but you know that's it. There's not enough of us, and you know they are the epitome of coverage. You know of what they're doing
Exactly.
regionally. it's not just about the big meetings or the big tracks, like regionally, and that's what's exciting.
Yeah.
And that's right.
And there
Like,
needs to be more of
and
that.
You look at Rhino, like he's got his family.
Yeah, and like a brand new baby.
You know?
Yeah. 3 amazing kids that are repping
Le-
Push Clothing.
Lisa's so patient to be putting up
Yeah.
with Rhino. But not only that, he's got the
Kush.
Kush clothing. He's taken on Toowoomba, media role with SSA, and he's on Facebook every 5 minutes promoting.
Everything.
Everything.
You know,
Yep. And that is huge. You know, I think,
the man is a machine.
yeah. And it's people like him that are this next generation promoting the next generation.
Exactly.
And, you know, you guys, you're the old hats. You know, you're at that level where you've been racing a really long time, and this is what I'm hoping to achieve, that these younger guys, whether they're in juniors, whether they're in Formula 500s, they can look at you and go, hey, I saw an interview with you and I had no clue where you've come from, but man, that sounds like what I've done. And you know what? It just shows that anything is possible, and you don't have to be from a family that has money. You don't have to have 100 sponsors. There are ways that you can do it. If you want it bad enough, you can do it.
Oh, I've raced against a lot of people over the years that
Yeah,
have had the best of the best, but they couldn't drive.
yeah, yep.
You know, like
that's
money
it.
doesn't buy your talent
Ability.
or ability
That's it.
or experience.
And being humble with it, I think that's something that the younger generation need to learn.
That's something I think that's sort of fading away.
Yeah, racecraft and humble, being humble.
Exactly. You know, like they want it and they want it now.
I think maybe that's somewhere, you know, and I've only seen it in sprint cars with Andrew Shirley and Jai Corbett. So, you know, Aussie's gone, right, my kid's got talent, but he's a hothead and no offence, like I love Jai, right? Andrew Shirley's come in and Andrew Shirley has said, I've got to get him to slow down before he can go fast.
That's right.
And he's either a win it or bin it. And that is a lot of this new generation that are coming through in all classes. They don't understand that it's okay to slow down and learn racecraft and follow, you know, even in Super Sedans, like I talked to Darren Kane and, you know, Wayne and Justin Randall, and, you know, guys just slow down and look at what they're doing, and you will get there. You've got to,
Slow is fast in some tracks.
yeah. But I think we need to look at having some kind of mentor programs. It's something that I would love to see Speedway Australia do. You know, I'd love to see them, okay, in AMCAs, you know, like you were just saying, Potsy and Bruce and, you know, Steve and even yourself, even though you're only 6 years into AMCAs, you've been running a really long time. Let's mentor some of these young kids. Let's not just send them out on their own and tell them to go around the track.
Yeah.
You know, I tried to do that with Wingless this year. So last season, we had a heap of new guys, and I'm not a driver, never professed to be a driver, but if I can set you up with someone who can act as a mentor, who can work with you and have the ability to say, look, you missed your mark on that one. We were just talking about marks with Deb, you know, you got to hit your marks on the track. Someone's got to be able to say, hey, come with me. Let's walk around the track. Let's talk it through. And I'm here to help if you need it.
So it's like Maverick Dak. He's just started AMCAs. He started with a 253, and after every race he always comes up to us and said, how does that go?
Wow.
And I said, you have to, every corner there's a little mark that you got to get used to on the turns 1, coming out of 2, in the 3.
3 out of 4.
You hit that and that and that. Now
And
he's gonna
every
chev,
track's different, so you've got to have
and
that
he's
set up.
doing,
That's right.
he's gotten a lot quicker.
Yeah.
A lot quicker. And I said to him, on a black track, just slow it right down.
And be
And
consistent.
then just turn it in. That's all you have to do. You don't have to pitch it in there. You don't
And that's it.
drive your car.
I think, you know, from the outside looking in, they think it's just about getting out there and having the best of everything and going fast. And I would love to see if Speedway Australia across the board can develop something, you know, with the knowledge that say you guys have, because in every team there is that knowledge,
Yeah.
you know, and you guys are getting older, and the stories are going and the experience is going, and if you walked away now, you know, you've got two brains, or you know, same as the Randalls. What Brett does,
knowledge
looking
galore.
at that track and how he can set up a super sedan, it's what Wayne said. He has this affinity to look at a track and just know what to do that Wayne does not have. I'm so scared that as these generate, we're getting older, that's getting lost and not handed down. And I think we've really got to work on that and help these young guys come through.
Yeah,
And that comes down to trying stuff too.
Yeah.
It might work one week, it try
Maybe
something
the
different,
next.
it might work the next week.
Yeah,
And that's experience. You don't get that in a year's
no,
the racing. You know, it would
No.
take a year just to work out one track.
yeah. And that's it. And then you've got a track like Archerfield that you finally get the hang of, and now it's going, you know.
Yeah, I know.
But guys, thank you so much.
no worries.
It's been super cool to talk to you, and I know that we'll be following you a lot closer this year. And you know, obviously Louis and Tim are still running, and Matt wants to be at every AMCA race he can be, and I'll follow where he goes. But otherwise, you hear it here first. Deb and Pricey, they've got a bus, and Maddie and Peter are going to have a bus in a couple of years, and we're going to be going running tracks and fixing race suits and having a ball of a time. And Troy and Tamara will be here babysitting the kids and the dogs, so you'll be fine.
No,
If they're
Chevy will
allowed
be
at
with
Speedway.
us.
Chevy will, well, Indy will be with us, yeah. Well, not long. You've got a lot of work ahead of you.
Yeah,
You know, only got a couple of months, but
You got a lot of work.
hang on.
it's all heading in the
So
right
do you,
direction.
mate. So do you. It's here in your shed.
Heading in the right direction.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Getting it.
And like, you know, like you said, anyone who wants to help out and come on board, you know,
Oh, 100%, yeah.
please reach out, you know, to Pricey Motorsports, and
Messages through Facebook or through Peter or whatever.
yeah, and we'll be here to help. And they'll have a little Peter's Pit Talk sticker on the car, and it'll be my first AMCA, but I'm so glad. So again, awesome achievement this last season, and
Thank you, Don.
wow,
Thank you.
you know, really cool.
It is
And
really cool.
whatever happens from here is just a whole heap of smiles and
Yeah.
whatever. Just a shame Rogue's shut down.
Oh, isn't it?
It is. We have to have a new plan after racing.
Oh, I'm too
we'll be too old.
I'm too
I-
old for that.
I get Maddie's like talks and like the night, and I'm like, babe, I'm really tired. I want to go home. He's like, oh, okay. And he'll just stand there and talk for hours, and that's cool.
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Last to leave.
yes, thank you so much, and can't wait. It's going to
Me
be a
neither.
ripper season, and
Be
can't
good.
wait to share it with you guys. So
Thank you, Dale.
all good.
Thanks
and
for taking time out of your Friday night.
absolutely wouldn't want to be anywhere else. Had my one drink, and Tamara's.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
She's been very quiet out there.
I
She's
think
been
she's
cut off.
asleep.
No, she's not asleep.
She's not asleep.
She's still there
She's been
talking.
cut off.
She's or Tamara.
She's had 5, that's 4 too many.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's go have another one, and
Yeah,
we'll say good night and put this up
Cheers,
live.
guys.
Cheers, and see you at a track very, very soon.
Bye.
Bye.